We are on filmsgonewild.com. My name is John Wildman. I'm the editor-in-chief of Films Gone Wild. And right now we are at the Naples International Film Festival, and we're going to talk about a short film that was actually part of the opening night short film celebration here at Naples, at Artis Naples, which was a sold-out affair, a huge monster audience, red carpet gala, and short films don't always get that. But Naples does that. The Naples International Film Festival, they've done that a few times because they really do like to celebrate short films. And this is one that really deserved it. The film is Willow and Wu, and we have Kathy Meng, who's the writer-director. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, John.
All right, our audience likely has not seen Willow and Wu, so introduce us to the film.
Great. So Willow and Wu follows the life of a young assistant. She's just been dumped, and she's called into work with her high-powered boss, who ends up asking her to film a eulogy video.
It's such a wonderfully done, really efficiently crafted short film, in that oftentimes filmmakers try to do way too much in a short film. And you go, listen, we've got 12 minutes. 3-act structure isn't really going to be the thing here. We have a point we need to make. We have something we need to get to. We have something we're anticipating, and we're going to get a payoff. And this really does do that. It's such a warm kind of approach, which I've been talking throughout the fest this weekend, that's a through line of the programming for the Naples International Film Festival. There's an idea of warmth, whether narrative, documentaries, shorts, or features, and Willow and Wu has that with it. I would love for you to start off talking about, one, the initial idea and how much that idea morphed through the writing process and everything, because I'm wondering, was it a bigger, ambitious project initially that got pulled back, or was it even a smaller snapshot that grew out of it? Because I could see it going either way.
Yeah, the idea came out of this job I had where I was a personal assistant to a very wealthy, very powerful individual, and I was at this job for 2.5 years. And when you're somebody's personal assistant, you get to see their personal life very well and also their professional life. And I got this job when I was in my early 20s, and I was very unsure of myself. I had imposter syndrome. And I remember when this boss was emailing me or texting me, I would rewrite my email like 10 times, like, is this right? So it came out of wanting to capturing just when you're young and vulnerable. And also the film, I wanted to have this contrast of this girl who's vulnerable, and she's living in Brooklyn with roommates. She's starting her career. She could be fired any time. And then next to her boss's husband, who's kind of so used to this corporate CEO life, and he has to wear this mask all the time. And at work, I often wonder how much of who I am as a human can I show? And most of the time was not very much, because you just have to wear this mask. But the film came out of wondering, where is that boundary between the vulnerability that you could show at work, and actually that these two main characters are bonded by this mutual grief.
It's funny because there's a very specific New York culture and LA culture of being a personal assistant. And I went through that, and it's that swimming with sharks cliche, except it's real. It's so painfully real.
I've interned for the Swimming with Sharks inspiration producer, so.
Yes, and and you're absolutely correct that it's funny because you're entrusted with access to their home life. Because they're just, well, go do this and go take care of this, and so you either have the passcodes or you have the keys, yourself, what, and yet you go, there's a limit into what you can reveal, and it's maddening, and on almost, I would say, I'm probably being generous saying 3/4 of the time, the most toxic kind of thing that we can go through, and yet so many of us do or did, right? And it's also funny that and I'm getting off topic, but you reminded me of this. But then if you do become the boss afterwards, you either do the same with a vengeance, or you do such the exact opposite. And I was like that person doing the exact opposite, where like I was just like crazy, like just making sure everybody's taken care of, right? And so now I will get back to the film, because what's wonderful is that in a remarkably short period of time, we see that really just on the cliffhanger thing of our assistant could say the wrong thing. Yeah. And they could stumble so easily, and of not even of their fault, but just and then we also see a humanity in her boss's husband, who she's with, and so my question for you is that there's a wonderful nuance there, to your credit, and you obviously had personal experience with this. So as you were shooting it, working with your two actors, you can tip that off too quickly, right? You can be too heavy-handed with it, and then sometimes you can go, was anything even happening? So talk about how you went in to make sure that you hit that sweet spot, that you hit that target.
Well, it all came from when we were writing the script to develop this kind of gradual reveal of the two characters' vulnerability. And I also have to give a shout out to my co-writer, Harry Bacon, who's not here because we developed it together. The pacing came from just what would be authentic and what would be truthful in these scenarios, because if the assistant was to just reveal everything at once, she would be there would be no story. Yeah. And I think the pacing and development also came from their testing. The boss's husband is testing Willow, so there are so many little moments where Willow's not sure about the camera, and it's just a build-up. Yeah.
Here's something that I would love for you to address, because I don't know the answer to this. And I wonder how, but I also sense that another layer to how things play out with Willow and Wu is really steeped in Asian culture, and and how within the Asian culture, how much you're allowed to reveal. How much, it's like, I think he mentions it at one point, it needs to be straightforward, it needs to be this, what have you. And of course, in America, you're going, reveal everything. Tell everything. That's heart. That's right. Right? And which is totally at opposites. Yeah. So talk about, how much of that with you and your co-writer, and then you directing, that was kind of also a very active participant in how you're staging it.
Yeah, I think in terms of the Asian aspect perhaps could be being reserved emotionally. So for the boss's husband, it's very difficult because not only is he Chinese, he's also a very successful businessman. So it's even harder for him to open up. And this is truthful to what I observed being an assistant. It's just that people at the top, they're so kind of obsessed with, trade secrets and not revealing too much. So it's all about
control.
Control, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why the boss's husband is even more uptight in the beginning. But Willow, she's not just Chinese, she's Chinese American. So perhaps that's the contrast where she can, she's also, at a different stage in her life. And
it's funny to say, I don't want to offer any spoilers in a 12-minute short, but I don't. But what I'm getting at is that there's a moment where one of our characters sings, and as I was watching it, I was like going, again, you hit such a sweet spot in that the performance is not Broadway ready, and yet there's just a wonderful accessibility to it, and so which made me immediately go to, having been in this position before, of casting, and making sure that aside from chemistry between your two actors, that in this case you had an actor that could do this technical thing. So how did that work out?
Technical thing, you mean the singing?
Yes.
Yeah, so we had a hard time casting for Mr. Wu. We got way more submissions for Willow just because, young actresses, that's a lot out there. But Mr. Wu, because we were filming in New York, and a lot of the New York Chinese actors, they only speak Cantonese, or they spoke different dialects, or if they spoke Mandarin, it was heavily American accented. So it's very hard to find someone who's convincingly 100% Chinese. So my producer and I, we went on just Asian actor Facebook groups, and then this actor, Yves Young, who played Mr. Wu, he lives in Paris. He's French Chinese, and he reached out, but he spoke perfect Mandarin. And he was very self-conscious about singing the Jet song because, oops, spoiler.
I've worked so hard to protect your film.
I don't know who sings the Jet song. Never mind. That was a joke. But so he was self-conscious about singing in English because his Chinese and French were much better than his English. But you just had to encourage him. And the whole point is not for it to be Broadway ready. The whole point is this is vulnerable.
Exactly. No, exactly. But that.
Sorry.
All right. So, you guys know what happens now. All right. Okay. My final question. Your film was part of this amazing opening night. You weren't. But the film was. We have you here now. He gets to do the red carpet now, a couple days later, and all that. But I would love for you to talk about, what the initial ambitions for the film were, because we do short films for a lot of reasons. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes, I will tease filmmakers and go, "Why are you doing a short film? Why are you spending all that money? Why are you going through all that angst for a short film that you can't make any money off of?" Right? And but there are reasons. Sometimes it's a proof of concept. Sometimes it's just to begin your branding as a filmmaker. Sometimes you just got an idea in your belly and you got to get it out. Mm-hmm. So why did you do Willow and Wu?
So the film I did before Willow and Wu was on a much bigger scale in the sense that we had 30 background actors. We had so many locations. So for us, for me, Willow and Wu was actually smaller scale and just kind of having the itch to let's just do something. And most of it, the outdoor sequences we shot at a public park, and that was a free location. We got a grant from New York Foundation of the Arts, so it was, I would say the production went way more smooth than the previous film I made called Elite Match. So, and I see short films sometimes that you can tell they want it to be a feature and they're packing way too much in. So this is really an exercise, 2 main characters, outdoor location. And we do have our next script ready. It's called Guada. It's set in the Caribbean. So, just kind of keep churning.
Set in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Okay. So start writing checks for Kathy now.
Yes, please.
Again, the film is Willow and Wu, screening at Naples International Film Festival. We've been talking with the director, Kathy Meng. Congratulations again.
All right. Thanks so much, John. Thanks for having me.